So you're in your 20s, you're about to sign a 7-figure contract. Well, and you came out as a junior. So did you feel like you had the tools to properly address that contract or even just come into that wealth, step into that wealth? Did you feel like you were prepared mentally for the financial part of that?
I had no tools for that.
None.
I had none. Yeah. Before I was drafted, I hired an agent, a football agent, and I hired a financial advisor.
Before you were drafted?
Before I was drafted.
Okay.
The agent courting process is pretty aggressive as a young college player if you're highly touted. I don't even know how these guys found me, to be honest. You know, I was meeting with a new agent, a few agents a week. All of these guys telling me they could represent me and do this and that, meeting with my family, etc., as well as the financial advisors. These guys just came out of the woodwork, and were offering me everything that they could do, all the services they provide. And it was very reminiscent of my being recruited out of high school by all these colleges, so it's great to get all that attention, and that's kind of part of the trap of being an athlete, and something that you have to come to terms with and shed in life after the sports, because everything is about you playing in this game on this stage at the highest level. People relate to you from that perspective, your family, your friends, and then even all the professional people, the business people, the agents, the financial advisors, etc. So you're really, it's this cultivating of an ego. You're cultivating this persona as this warrior who does this thing, who provides this form of entertainment for people. And at the same time, I really loved that. I thrived in that. I wanted to, part of my path in football, my dream, my aspiration to play in the NFL was wrapped up in me proving to the world how big and scary and badass I was, due to my childhood trauma, the physical abuse I suffered, and the alcoholism in my family, etc. So I really thrived on that. Football was therapy for me for a long time. It was the place where I could exact all of this rage that I had inside of myself, and I could put it out on the field. I could dominate another dude physically, and I would be celebrated for it.
Yep.
I was raised up, and I was praised and given all these opportunities, and all these doors opened for me because of my physical abilities on the field. So that really, I say all of that to put context around this experience of, as a really young person, you've got all of these people coming to you, telling you who you are, what you can be, what the future looks like. Meanwhile, I was a kid from a Brooklyn middle-class family. Neither of my parents had had any experience dealing with money more than, a monthly paycheck. Much of my childhood was, my parents were functioning paycheck to paycheck. So I was really the first one in my family to come into this type of wealth. So I had no skills whatsoever. To me, it was an opportunity to take care of everybody, take care of myself the way I had always dreamed of living and experiencing life in this way. First class plane tickets, the BMW, the big house, the cowboy boots, and so.
You had to pull your family out.
Yeah, and I could pay for my dad's rent at his apartment in Brooklyn. I could take care of my mom. I could do this, and that. And I really had no idea of what it meant to have this type of money. And this is kind of part of the professional football player mindset is you're not really asking questions. You know, you're not there trying to get to the bottom of anything. It's really just like, what do I need to do this, X, Y, and Z? How do I pay my rent? How do I make sure all my bills are paid? How do I, you know, make sure the people around me are happy and taken care of? You know, outside of that, I'm not asking a lot of questions about what's going on with my money, where's my money being put, what's a good investment? You know, at that time I had no idea. You know, I was living and functioning through this singular focus of being a football player. And I think a lot of guys are doing that. And it takes your attention away from really the most important thing, which is your money and the foundation, your financial foundation, because that's the blessing of, that's the fruits of all your hard work and everything you've been working for so long.
So let's go back. You said you hired a financial advisor before you got drafted.
Yeah.
How did you go through that vetting process? Like, did you look at any of their credentials? Did you kind of just go off of, all right, he said, I can go on a yacht tomorrow with him? Because that's realistically what some guys are looking for, that sexy, he can get me a watch. He can, you know, so how did you pick the right financial advisor for you? Especially before you even, knew what you were going to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this guy can take me on a yacht. My experience was, hey, Eb, do you want to go to the Playboy golf tournament, which ends in the pajama party at the Playboy Mansion? And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So, you know, I had all these guys coming to me, and my parents helped, but again, they had no understanding of this. They didn't really know what to look for. I met with one financial advisor who was an old friend of my dad's from growing up. You know, I had, every one of these guys has a clientele list of people you would know. You know, they handle the money of superstar football players that I'd grown up looking up to.
Yeah.
So for me, my life has always been about energy and about how do I feel around a person? What's a person's energy around me? And for better or worse, I ended up choosing this guy who was the most fun. He was the most open. He seemed to understand who I was and what I wanted to do. I was very, and I still in this way, I'm very resistant to anyone who tells me what I'm going to do or what I have to do, or who's going to put constraints around my actions or my behavior, etc. So I was wary of that. I should have probably picked someone who was going to give me more structure, because unfortunately it turned out my financial advisor, his aloofness, his disconnection from me, turned out that he was dealing with a whole legal issue that he ended up going to jail for.
So you never knew? I
never knew until later. Yeah.
So you were his client the whole time he was going through this. So wait, let's go back.
Yeah.
One, did you go to the Playboy party?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he did make good on
ball.
those. You had fun.
Yeah.
So as he's managing your money, you're giving him money to manage. Is it more of an investment strategy, or is it just kind of advisory? If you want to go purchase something, you would consult with him first. What kind of relationship was in the beginning?
It was a very loose relationship. You know, my money got put into a money market account. It was pretty boilerplate looking back. He had some advice on what to do, how to, you know, proportion out my 401k investment plan with the NFL, which seemed to be successful. But other than that, you know, it was very hands-off. My mom came to me and wanted to open a yoga and spin studio in Jack's Beach. He advised against it, which I should have listened to. But he didn't not allow me to do it. He didn't really tell me what I should do or why I shouldn't do it. It was just a matter of, I don't think this is a good idea. And that turned out to be just a money pit.
So there was no education.
There was no education.
It was just like, hey, I got this one-off thing, yay or nay.
Yeah. And to his credit, I can't, I don't say any of this. I just say this as the experience that I had. I don't really blame him for anything because I wasn't really in a place to listen to anything. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with my money, how I was going to live, and it was up to, from my perspective, it was up to him to facilitate that and to make that happen.
Yeah.
My mom took care of a lot, and then my girlfriend, who then became my wife and the mother of my child, she took care of a lot of the finances and paying bills, etc. Everything was on auto pay for the most part. My car payment, house payment, whatever else was going on. There was always, I can't tell you how many times I went to the store and my card got declined because there wasn't enough money in it. Because I had the money market account, and then he would give me a monthly stipend or allowance that would go into I think I had B of A for a minute, Bank of America account that I would use for whatever, food, entertainment, etc.
So you're spending money.
Yeah, my spending money. And I can't tell you how many times that card got declined because I just wasn't keeping track of how much I was spending, how much money was in that account, etc. So I'd be on the phone with him at a store saying, hey man, what the fuck? Where's the money? I need money in my account. And it was just, it was really a mess. It was just, it was a huge learning experience because there's nothing like being this person and living under the veil of being a professional athlete who's supposed to have all this money and your card gets declined. It's so embarrassing.
It's embarrassing for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's, of course. But it was such a, it was such a God shot for me because I needed that. I needed to have that experience to understand the true value of what I had, and it really, I didn't get that until afterwards. But, it's provided me with the life lessons of knowing how not to do it.